Hello.
Hello. Hi, Beccah.
Hi, Uttensio. Welcome to Let's Review with Beccah and Uttensio, the podcast where we review all the
It's
things.
what we do.
Yeah, we're reviewing all the things.
Maybe we need to make a little ditty, like a let's
ditty?
review.
Yeah,
It's what we do.
This is the
with
very first show of the year and of this podcast. So this show in general. So yeah, we haven't ironed everything out yet, but we shall.
It takes time.
Mm-hmm. It being the very first, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, Uttensio? We tell us a little bit about yourself. Let's go with that.
Are you telling me about me?
You're telling me about you.
Okay. My name's Uttensio. I do not watch movies. I guess that's something that we're going to talk about on this podcast.
Yeah,
is how
you've never seen a movie.
I've never seen a movie. So this is I'm getting totally out of my wheelhouse, and I'm kind of excited about that. I also don't read many books, and so it's something that I want to do more of, and something I've been doing more of over the last year. So I'm excited to kind of continue that for myself. And yeah, I play a lot of video games, and we're gonna talk about video games too.
Yeah. That's great. That's all great stuff.
Great stuff. Beccah, why don't you tell me about you?
Yeah. So, I am a consumer of all internet, all entertainment, not just all the internet, all entertainment.
That's so true.
Yeah, I read a whole lot, although I would say my reading is mostly in the sci-fi and fantasy genres. So I think one of my kind of goals with this show is not only to bring my love of everything that I consume, but also kind of broaden my own horizons. Yeah, so I read a lot. I watch a lot of movies on a day-to-day basis, and that's kind of where the inside joke with Potencio is that I'm always constantly talking about a movie, and she stares blankly at my face, and it's like I have no idea what that is, Beccah. And then I have to explain everything to her.
I like when we're watching a movie together, and you're like, "Oh, that actor was also in this other movie that's a completely different genre." Like we were watching Bug's Life, and you were like, "Oh, that's Richard Kind," and I had no idea how you knew that, and you named the voice actor for every single bug.
Yeah, there's some especially with the more mainstream stuff. There's some really cool character actors, and even some of the main characters, especially back in the day, when voice actors weren't super mainstream, or they didn't always try to get the giant big name Hollywood celebrities to voice the star. So yeah, you heard a lot of voices that you were like, I've heard that voice before, and it's always fun connecting people, especially with character actors. I love a good character actor. Someone who is on the sidelines there for one purpose in a show or a movie, and they just every scene they're in, they just blow it away. Usually, they're a lot better, than the main stars a lot of the time, especially in TV. I feel like there's these big name character actors that are in everything, and then yeah, they just blow it out of the water. Yeah, and I also play a lot of video games, and yeah, just want to bring our point of view to you. And hopefully you guys bring something to us as well, and we get to explore what makes us live life.
Aw.
Yeah, and so this show is going to be part uh, book club, part movie club, part let's talk about other entertainment news and such. So we're gonna every month we're gonna read a book, and every
Attempt to
month,
read a book.
yeah,
I'm a slow reader.
yeah, we're gonna give ourselves a whole month to get through a book. Hopefully, that should give us enough time um, to get through, and then um, we're gonna watch a movie every month and talk about it. So might not have the same depending on when we announce what movie we're gonna watch. It might not have a whole month, but I feel like a movie is much more digestible than a book is. So yeah. And then on top of that, yeah, we want to talk about like the games we're playing, the TV, and maybe other movies that we're watching that might be influencing us. Things we're looking forward to, and um, yeah, maybe just like light, not really review stuff, but just light perusal of those things. We're gonna save our big review stuff for whatever book and whatever movie we're watching for that month, and those will have dedicated episodes specifically for those things, and we'll be able to deep dive into those. Yeah, so that's kind of the plan for this. Is we're just gonna be reviewing things.
You said the thing. You said it.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think for this first episode, since it's the beginning of January of the new year, that it would be appropriate to review our last year. Since
Yeah.
um, this is kind of all new to us, this show, and so yeah, let's talk about some of the stuff we liked or didn't like of last year. Do you have any um, big topics you want to talk about from last year, Uttensio,
Yeah.
or
So, do we want to start with like what our favorite books were that we read last
we
year?
can start with books. Yeah, we can do that. I didn't
Yeah.
know if there was just any other.
Well, I guess we can talk about like you mentioned that you love sci-fi, you love
Yeah,
fantasy. Um, I love horror.
yeah.
I'm a big horror fan. Not I'm starting to kind of get into horror movies. Kind of like into that art house thing.
Mhm.
Um, my favorite I guess we'll talk about some of our favorites just in general, like throughout. But big true crime gal. I've been
Mhm.
told that I am like the goth version of a horse girl, and how much I like true crime.
Yeah.
um, so yeah, I mean that was really. I just you kind of coming from. We have different tastes, I think, in entertainment, and so it'll be really interesting. I think to hear your takes on some of these more weird avant-garde films that I tend to watch, and maybe I'll watch Lord of the Rings and I'll have some opinions about it, and I won't
Well,
fall asleep this time.
yeah, yeah. Just make sure you have the opinions, and we'll discuss. Yeah, that's a great point. Like, yeah, you're I from what I've experienced with you is, yeah, you really like your murder mysteries and
Mhm.
your horror stuff, and that's kind of helped me a little bit because those are two genres that I don't read a whole lot. So I've picked up my pace on the mystery, like
Aw.
pure mystery, like stuff that's outside of the sci-fi
Yeah.
and fantasy genre, because there is some of that. Um, like I just finished a book that is a fantasy Sherlock Holmes type thing. So it's
Ooh.
got those mystery elements, but it's very much set in a universe with not necessarily magic powers, but definitely some weird stuff going on.
And I did
But
see in your notes that you shared with me earlier that you put a little blurb about my favorite gal that we'll get to later.
yeah, we'll talk a little bit about that. Um, do you? I guess we can start with books for
Yeah.
of last year. Do you have any prominent books of note that you thought stood out to you, whether
I
it
think
stood out in a positive way or a negative way?
yeah, so my favorite book that I read last year was Camp Damascus by Chuck Tingle.
Okay.
I actually found this book. I was at a community like block party, and they
Okay.
had one of those travel mobile bookshops. And I just
Mm.
walked in. I went straight to the horror section, and the clerk came to me and said, "Do you like horror?" I said, "Yes, but I don't like cheesy. I don't
Mm.
want. I've read cheesy. I've read slasher, and I'm kind of like, I want something new."
You want something to chill you to the bone.
Yeah. And my boyfriend was sitting next to me and he goes, "She wants to poop her pants with how scared." And so the clerk recommended this book to me, Camp Damascus. It's queer, which I loved.
Yeah.
Um I After the first chapter of it, I did not want to go to sleep that night because like there was
Because
some
you were too
body horror
scared?
stuff. Yeah, there was like body
Okay.
horror and it like got to me. And I was like, but it had a happy ending. I love that.
Okay.
I love a happy ending at the end of a just terrifying book. I think what was scary about it was that it had some body horror elements to it, which always gets to me. Like it makes me want to throw up. Um, but it also had a religious aspect of it. I would say like one of the prominent villains of this book was the cult that the townspeople were a member of. The ideology of this cult, and I love that. It was terrifying.
Hmm.
100% recommend it. It was my top book of 2025.
Awesome. That was Camp Damascus by Chuck Tingle.
Yes.
Yeah, I haven't read too much by Chuck, but I've heard an awful lot about Chuck Tingle. He is very prolific online for his
Mhm.
co- satirical kind of a bent to a lot of his early writing.
Mhm.
Um, yeah. Do you have any particular books that stood out to you as uh, didn't live up to what your expectations were going in?
I can't remember if I read it last year or the year before. Um, I was a teenage slasher.
Okay.
It just did not tickle me the way I wanted to be tickled.
Okay.
Um, it wasn't bad. I enjoyed it. I still gave it to my mother for her to read. Said, "I think you'll like this, mom. Read it." My mom, she kind of feels the same way. It's a little cheesy, but it's kind of making fun of the cheesiness of the horror genre. But it was just kind of like, well, eh. It says I was a teenage slasher, but he wasn't a slasher.
Wasn't
He
teenage.
decapitated
Wasn't.
people. He was a teenager, but I was just kind of like,
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Do you do you have an estimation of about how many books you read last year? Is that something you track?
it's
Is
n-
it
it's not
no?
something I track. It's probably something like 6.
Okay.
I mean, I'm a slow reader.
Mm-hmm.
I tend to do like 30 minutes right before bed and then I fall asleep like with the book on top of me.
That's fair. I think everyone's a little different and how they consume different media and
Mhm.
whatnot. And so uh, I have recently started tracking what been reading more so as a way to reflect back on what I read and kind of let those things sink in a little bit more and and not just kind of speed from one thing to the other. I had a tendency to do that. So, um, eh, with that being said, I read 29 books last year,
Woo wee.
a little over two a month. Um, that I should say I finished 29 books because I know I did not finish a bit more than that because I have a tendency of picking stuff up that sounds interesting, getting um, anywhere from a few paragraphs to maybe a chapter more into, and deciding either I'm not in the right headspace for the book, um, I'm not feeling where it's at or something, and I'll put it down. That doesn't necessarily mean that I won't come back to it. There are a couple that I realize like okay, I gotta either consume this in a different format,
Hmm.
whether it be audio or like physically reading it, or I need to be in a better be in the mood for a certain thing.
Well, that's an
Um,
interesting something you just said that you listen to audiobooks.
yeah.
I don't. Um, so this is kind of like a different way that you and I consume media is that I tend to I have an office job. I sit at my
Mhm.
desk and I listen to podcasts. Um, and then you listen to audiobooks while you're working or at your desk. So
Yeah.
it's kind of an interesting way that you and I both consume that media.
Uh-huh. And yeah, I that brings up a good point of audiobooks aren't always great for office jobs
Yeah.
because you have to kind of pay attention to what's going on. Different than a podcast where you're just kind of you have a conversation going on
Mhm.
in your ears, and you can kind of half pay attention or let your mind wander to it back and forth. I currently a lot of my work is on the more monotonous side where I just need to pay attention to what I'm doing. I don't need to like super concentrate, and that's where the audiobooks come in really well. Um, and I tend to like even with like if I'm on a drive or something,
Mhm.
I tend to pick up a audiobook more than put on music. Um, and so those are some of the ways that I end up consuming stuff a little bit faster
Mhm.
um, through the year. Yeah, because a lot of these, almost, I would say probably 90% of what I read last year was in audiobook form. Um, and I will move books from um, an audiobook TBR to be read to a physical if I'm really interested in a book but don't vibe with the narrator,
Mhm.
because that can be a big thing. And some books aren't just maybe they're a little too heady, maybe they're a little too um, maybe the prose is just not suitable for the audio format, and you just really want to sit and absorb something in a physical format. Uh, that being said, some standouts to me were a book called Sleeping Giants by Sylvian Neuville, which is a sci-fi book that's all it's epistolary. Are you familiar with that term?
I am not.
So epistolary refers to someone writing letters, or maybe two people
Hmm.
conversing in letters. Um, this being more sci-fi, um, it is kind of like found footage in book form,
Oh, I love
where
that. Little
all the
captain's log.
all the chapters are like framed as interviews of a government agency interviewing people, and as you go through these interviews, you're understanding more and more of what was going on. And it starts with a girl who is wandering in the woods, and she suddenly falls into a huge crevasse and lands on a giant robotic arm, like is caught
Hmm.
essentially by this hand that is like massively bigger than she is. And the government come in to figure out what it is. And she, when she grows up, she becomes a some sort of physicist and something else. She gets like a bunch of doctorates because her intention is to then study this thing. Um, and so it's told from either her giving interviews or a couple government agents interviewing different people, and just kind of them um, figuring out what this thing is, why it is on Earth, and what's going on with it. And it was one of those books where not only I couldn't put it down when I was reading it, but when I wasn't reading it, I was thinking about it, and I was trying to find time to read the book. Um, and yeah, and I probably read it within a week. Like, it was like that. Like, I just needed to get through it. I was so engulfed, engrossed. Um, yeah, and I highly recommend it. It was Sleeping Giants by Sylvian Neuville. It's Neuvel. I don't know how you pronounce that, but and the other book that really stood out to me last year was She Who Became the Sun by Shelley Parker Chan. And this is fantasy. Um, it's a retelling of uh, I believe, Chinese, a story about a Chinese emperor that helped unite China long long ago. um, and so like not a whole lot was known about this emperor, and so she is telling this story of like um, the big thing was that it it was thought that this emperor came from poverty and uh, essentially helped unite China by like conquering a lot of it and being part of this rebel group that helped do that. Um, and it plays around with uh, gender and sexuality stuff that probably wasn't around at that time. She uses them as more storytelling elements and kind of the philosophy that she uses through these characters. It was really one of those books that like I keep thinking about after it's been over. And there is a second book. I don't know if it's a trilogy. If there's more than I know, there is another book um, that kind of continues on with this story, and I plan on reading it. But yeah, it really popped for me. It was one of those things where it does have a lot of historical stuff in there, and it's of a time and a place that I'm not super familiar with. So knowing some of these like ancient mythologies that um, these people believe and have influenced the cultures there was really interesting. Um, Two others that like I last year I finished the first trilogy that Robin Hobb has written. It's the Assassin, oh, the Farseer trilogy. That's what that trilogy is called. Um, and yeah, so that one's notable just because I just really enjoyed it. It's just a great um, fantasy trilogy. Uh, and then I also read a book called Lowtown by Daniel Plansky, and that's great. I I like the idea of like these low magic systems in fantasy and more kind of noir mystery. And it's a guy, he was kicked out of essentially like a fantasy secret police kind of thing, these like uh, guys that keep law and order in this big city. And um, he's doing his own thing, and he gets wrapped up in um, a murder mystery that the authorities don't seem to care about. And so, in order for him to kind of help protect his area of the slum or where he lives, which he kind of feels is like his duty to protect. He kind of goes out and gets embroiled in all this stuff, and it's cool. It's very much like, fantasy noir mystery.
Yeah, that sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's yeah, it's got really cool world building, and like I said, there is some magic in it, but um, the main character is not a magical person. He has some relationships with other magical people,
Hmm.
like he can go to answer questions and give him
Like a
help in certain
source.
stuff. Yeah, some sources, especially because he used to have like a prominent position in this town, so he's got a lot of sources, and he's kept
Hmm.
those up after kind of not so much fired, but like he left for reasons, and yeah, it's really interesting to kind of get that way. Uh, it's Lowtown by Daniel Polanski. Um, and I got so to highlight some other stuff that I read that I didn't really mesh with a whole lot.
Hmm.
I reread the Jurassic Park duology by Michael Crichton. Um, Jurassic Park is one of my favorite books and movies together, and rereading those was really fun. Just on like Crichton's way he talks about science and how he digs really into a scientific topic and then talks about that throughout his book. Um, it's really interesting in Jurassic Park because what he talked about in like the early 80s or late 80s, early 90s with genetics is like at a very different place that it is now. We know a whole lot more,
Hmm.
but it's still a very entertaining book. But The Lost World, I could not, for the life of me, finish all the way. And it's one of those things where I know Crichton had said that he doesn't do sequels, and kind of in the same way as some other people, but he kind of was pushed by his publisher and by movie studios because Jurassic Park was such a big hit to do a
Hmm.
sequel. You could just almost tell by reading it that his heart's really not in it. And it's kind of a slog to read, I thought. Um, Another book that I was kind of disappointed in was Annihilation by Jeff Vandermeer,
Hmm.
and it's another one of those. It's kind of epistolary style where it's written as journal entries of someone exploring this anomaly. And I think what the biggest thing that threw me off is I've seen the movie before I've read this book, and how the movie portrays stuff and really I thought was so much more interesting than what could be described, like how this book goes about describing stuff. And so like having that image in my head compared to what was going on in the book, I was kind of always guessing kind of what would be the next thing around the corner, and then being a little disappointed that it wasn't as cool as some of the visuals in the movie. And
Hmm.
which is kind of on the weird side of, because you think when you leave it to your imagination to visualize stuff, it's usually better than what you could see what's portrayed on film. But I think what they did with the movie was so interesting in just a different way than the book, and I couldn't separate the two when I read Annihilation. So it just kind of colored my enjoyment of the book more than I would have liked. I think the last thing I want to kind of talk about is just it's the Doomsday Book by Connie Willis. Is one of
Hmm.
those um, sci-fi classics that gets put up whenever people talk about sci-fi, and it's about a group at Oxford who like use time travel to study other eras, and um, so time travel is ubiquitous enough that people are aware of it and it's not a weird thing. And so then there's a bunch of rules around how they can go to places and why they go and all the and I don't know. It just didn't. It didn't keep me reading in the way I like it. It is talked about a lot of the times.
Hmm.
Um, I don't know if it's maybe it was a headspace thing reading it, and like the way people talk about it, I was maybe expecting a lot of different things than it was wanting to give me, because it's not so much about the time travel. It's more about this one scientist who goes back to a specific time and then her just interacting with that time. And that might be one I have to read again at a later date. Now that I kind of know more about the book, the story,
Yeah.
and see if I might enjoy it a little bit better without um, lofty um, expectations and my own kind of expectations of what I want in that sort of book. Yeah, that's last year. Oh, I will say, I do have two books on here: "The Calculating Stars" by Mary Robinette Kowal and "Red Shirts" by John Scalzi. And I only bring those up because I got to meet both of those authors last year. Uh,
Aw.
yeah,
Where did
so
you meet them?
they did a talk at the library at the main
Very
branch of
cool.
the library. Yeah, they both had new books coming out last year, and so they were doing like a book tour type thing. John Scalzi actually lives in the Columbus area,
Oh, okay.
which I didn't know that he did. Um, but yeah, yeah. So they got to talk, and they both seem like really cool people. And it was my first Mary Robinette book that I read, and I enjoyed it a lot. It's an alternate history of um, in who I think the 50s find they see that an asteroid is going to destroy the Earth. So at the very beginning of the book, DC does get hit by an asteroid, um, and like it destroys most of the West Coast, and like
Mhm.
Ohio is the new East Coast. I said West Coast, but I mean East Coast.
East Coast, yeah.
Um, yeah, and then so with this, because of this big gigantic asteroid hit, um, and they're people are very concerned about space, and they're like, oh my gosh, there is something else coming. We need to figure out either how to deal with this or how to get off Earth so that humanity survives. And so, what would our space program look like if it wasn't just about beating Russia to the moon? It was more about
Mhm.
survival and the things that people would do. And it was very entertaining. There is a more hopeful look about misogyny and racism in the book than I think would happen in real life.
Mhm.
It, the the government gets put in some positions, and they have to rely more on women and more of people of color and stuff like this than I think. I mean, you can't really know because of you have this huge thing happen, and then more impending doom, like, and you need to get this program going. But like, it is told from this perspective of uh, a mathematician and a woman, and her going through this process of becoming an astronaut, um, in a time where like it's it was very much misogynistic and racist, and
Mhm.
of the time. Um, but at the same time, I think it's really well written, and it's very um, they talk about politics a lot because of all that stuff that was going on, and um, it's it's a good thinker about like as a um, historical fiction, I think should be. Um, and Red Shirts is just a funny uh, book. The concept is if in Star Trek, the original series, red shirts tended to die on a Wayman. They were the disposable crew of the TV show. You know, whenever the TV show needed to show that something had stakes, they would kill someone off, and it was usually an extra. And so it's kind of this like meta book of it's not Starfleet, but it's analogous to Starfleet, and the main characters get to join, and they are the red shirts. And slowly, as the book goes around, they kind of discover like, oh shit, something is killing us. Like something is like putting the red shirts in harm's way, and we got to figure it out before it's our turn to
perish.
To perish, yeah, for the sake of the mission. And it's very meta. It's very funny. It's very referential to Star Trek and Star Wars and all this cool science fiction.
My mom would love that.
Yeah. It's a great introduction to John Scalzi if you've never read any of his books, because it is very much his humor, and how he likes to write his books. And I definitely recommend it for people who want a good chuckle as they read some science fiction. Yeah, that's kind of the highlights and the lowlights of my reading of last year.
Do we want to move on to movies?
Sure. Yeah. You want to start us off with some movies, since you are the you're
movie expert?
Yeah, a movie expert.
Yeah, I'm a true connoisseur of the
of
cinema
movies.
industry.
Yeah.
As we said before, I don't watch many movies. I wrote down 6 movies that I watched last year, and by watched them last year, I mean I watched them probably in the last 3 months. 6 movies. I saw the TV Glow. I saw that last week. Actually, I loved it. Midsummer, which is now, this, my favorite movie of all time. Everything always comes back to Midsummer for me. It is truly my comfort movie. I love it. Hereditary, another Ari Aster film. Loved it. I think that was the perfect horror movie. I did enjoy Midsummer more, but I had like a very personal connection to it. But I loved Hereditary. I loved Hereditary. I saw The Witch, directed by Robert Eggers. Also loved it. We're seeing a theme here. The theme is that I just go onto the A24 website and I just pick up
yeah, and a lot of horror. A24 is not always horror. I think they do tend to do a lot of horror, because horror tends to be more inexpensive to produce.
I think it's also like
other stuff.
Like I've told you, I've made the joke before that I don't know what Ari Aster has issues with more, his mother or people having heads on their necks. I think that the horror genre is just a great medium to make like societal critiques.
Yeah, for sure.
Hereditary is largely a critique on intergenerational trauma. Loved it. I loved that. Midsummer was a breakup movie. I loved The Witch. I constantly say, "Do you want to live deliciously now?"
Yeah.
I'm, every time I take a little bit of butter for a bagel, I'm like, I saw Wake Up Dead Man, maybe 2 weeks ago. Excellent. I loved it.
That's one I haven't gotten around to seeing yet, because I haven't renewed my Netflix subscription yet.
It was fantastic. You can use my Netflix. We can watch it together if you want. I haven't seen the first Knives Out movie. I think
did you not watch
into
it with
the
us?
room. I walked into the room at the end.
Okay.
And you guys said, "Oh, do you want us to start it from the beginning?" And I said, "No, don't do that on my account." But at the end, I was still kind of like, I was shooketh. You and I watched Glass Onion together, and I specifically remember
Okay.
figuring out the ending, like solving the mystery in my head, and looking at you and saying, "I swear, if this is what happened, I'm gonna be so pissed." And that was exactly what happened.
Yeah.
um, so those are the movies that I wrote down that I saw last year. I may have seen more, but those were I would definitely say like the standouts, the ones that I
Mm.
loved. I mean, I definitely I saw Rent is my other comfort movie. I I could watch Rent over and over again and I cry every time. And I sing every song with it
Mhm.
and it's my favorite musical. Um but these were probably the movies that I felt were impactful for me.
Yeah.
Um I really love them, especially Midsummer. Did you know that Midsummer is like my favorite movie?
Yeah, I did know that because I
Yeah.
know you, and you don't stop talking about it.
It all
Um,
comes back to Midsummer.
but that's yeah, especially for like it was the first movie you seen in like
Mhm.
uh, your entire life. So like yeah, it's
Yeah.
gonna make a big impact on you.
It was it was probably the first movie that I saw that when I finished it, I was happy at the end, I was sad at the end, I was confused, I felt I felt catharsis at the end of that movie. I think that I related a lot to Danny, which you know a lot of my personal stuff.
Hmm.
And the things that Danny went through, I've had some similar experiences. And so that was very impactful for me to see her go throughing it and finding a community, even though that community realistically was just as abusive and awful as the community she had at the beginning of the movie.
Hmm.
Um, but I really enjoyed it. I loved it. It was art. It was cinema.
Yeah, I really like Midsummer. It might be my favorite Ari Aster movie that I've seen. Uh, but I've only seen three. Seen Hereditary and Beau is Afraid and Midsummer. Um, but yeah, I like Ari Aster a lot. I think
Hmm.
he has a very unique approach to horror.
Yeah, that little
Uh,
freak.
yeah, yeah, and it's very much this unsettling kind of horror, and not so
Hmm.
much the overt jump scare. I'm gonna gross you out, or you know, um, scare you by thinking somebody's gonna come kill you. It's more of existential dread
Hmm.
that he likes to have in his movies. Um, yeah. Any any movies you watched last year that you wish you didn't?
I don't think so. Just because I
Okay.
didn't watch
Okay.
many movies.
Yeah. I
Um, go ahead.
I was gonna say I don't of the movies I watch. I don't know if I've ever. Well, I shouldn't say ever, but it's normally not a when I can usually find the good in most movies.
Yeah.
I can find something to like about movies.
I
Uh,
think that I'm in an interesting position of seeing
mhm,
so few movies that usually I go to you or I go to
mhm,
some of my other friends who are cinephiles and I ask them, I liked Midsummer, Hereditary, and The Witch. What should I watch? And they make recommendations. You've made recommendations,
mhm,
and I kind of just go off of that. Um,
yeah,
and I usually end up finding something that I like.
yeah. I think you're in a really cool spot too because of how many movies build off previous movies and like what is expected in film kind of thing, and like the tropes and uh, the language that has built up around film.
Mhm.
And because you don't have that, a lot more is refreshing and new to you. Uh,
That's so true.
whereas some of the movies that I don't like, even if there's good there, it maybe it's redone, maybe it's been done a lot, maybe it's been maybe it's just not new, um,
Mhm.
a new take on a thought or idea, and other movies have done it better, and so it kind of something that if it was like the first time you've seen a movie like it, you might rate really highly, but um,
You know what? Now I'm thinking of it, there is probably one movie that I did see last year that I wish I didn't. Star Wars Episode 2.
oh, the Attack of the Clones.
Yes. I fell asleep.
Okay, all
Mhm.
right. My I do have a deep love for Star Wars,
You
but I
do, and you know that my boyfriend does too, so we
yeah.
we watched
Uh,
it at his request.
have you seen Episode 1?
I did. I think I also fell
You
asleep.
were watching them in order?
Yeah. But we were
Okay.
watching them in release order.
Okay. Oh, release order. So you watched the original trilogy before
Mhm.
that? Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah, Star Wars for me is a very nostalgic thing. I was introduced to the original trilogy before the prequel trilogy had even come out. I think the episode 1 had been announced that it was coming out, and so
Mhm.
uh, George Lucas had done this big uh, update to the original trilogy. He went back and uh, added some scenes to stuff. He digitally enhanced a lot of the special effects that he wasn't happy with, and um, kind of a lot of things that Star Wars purists probably weren't happy with. But as a first introduction to it, I loved it, and it came in a giant box set where um, they were VHSs, and before the movie started in each VHS, I think it was before the movie. It had like behind the scenes stuff about like what they what they quote unquote improved upon
Mhm.
the movie, all the changes they had done and why they'd done it, and the behind the scenes of what it took to do those things. And it was the like probably the thing that got me into movies, both on like a production
Aw.
side and just like learning to love movies. And so like that the original trilogy has a very special place. But through my journey of movies, I do know that Star Wars, especially if it's something you're coming into new as an adult, it is very much aimed at children,
Mhm.
and it could be very it's very aged in a lot of ways that
I
it
was definitely watching it because there are people in my life who love it, and I
yeah.
wanted to share that with them.
um,
Not
I
like a,
I
"I love this."
yeah, I think I can say that the the original trilogy holds up. Like
Yes.
you can enjoy it for a first time as someone who's watched a bunch of other movies and just hasn't seen Star Wars. You can enjoy it. Um, but a lot of especially sci-fi movies have built it's kind of that same thing. They built off of Star Wars.
Mhm.
So if you've seen a lot of other sci-fi movies, even if they're not in quite the same genre, um, you you're kind of seeing something that is not as good as modern stuff, um, whether it be in special effects or how you tell a story. Um, and when you look at the prequels and the sequel trilogy, uh, they're both kind of a mess as far as
Mhm.
storytelling goes. Um, beautiful to look at a lot of times, but yeah, especially the prequel trilogy. The prequel trilogy has a lot of weird plot elements that they don't even make sense as movies for children. Like one of um the big conflict elements is literally about galactic trade and who is trading
Yes.
with who and why, and
And I thought that I
people
would like that.
seceding from the Republic and all this very political stuff that goes way over kids' heads. It went way over my head with the first time I watched it when they came out, and I just enjoyed the lightsabers and the flashing colors. And you're like, why are we talking about this weird stuff? Uh, um, but yeah, it's definitely of its time, and I think I, I think there might be some better ways to get you into Star Wars than
Probably.
sitting down and
We'll
watching them from
experiment.
chronologically or
Mhm.
by release date. But I'm happy you've seen them.
Thank you. Yeah, I attempted. I fell asleep.
Yeah. Maybe we'll have to retry to watch the prequels.
Yeah.
As like a watch party or something to keep you
And then when
engaged.
I start falling asleep, you can just push me.
Yeah, I'm sure. Well, like our conversation and stuff
Yeah.
that would keep you entertained, I think.
I like to make sounds for the droids.
Mhm.
Like there's this one droid that like sucks up like a message in
Yeah,
episode 2 and I go
I do. I do really like the retro futurism that Star Wars has held on to. It was very much futuristic at the time of the original trilogy, but um, with the prequels and sequel trilogy, it's very much now like a retro future where like things are still on cassette tape and everything's still kind of analog. Um, and
It's a
I
thought.
think that, yeah, it's very fun. Um, any other movie
I don't think so.
highlights from you? Oh, I I don't track my movies like I do my books, and
Well, you watch
kind
a
of
movie like
yeah, putting this
every day.
together, I might try. Um, um, I kind of put together a list of things that were released last year. I watched 19 releases. About
Oh,
half
we
of
watched
those,
K-pop Demon Hunters together.
yeah, we did.
That was another movie I saw.
Uh, yeah, just uh, 10 of these 19 I watched in a home setting and not in a theater. The other 9
Mhm.
were in a theater. Um, and our friend Cameo, she is very much into the theater going uh, life life. I guess I don't know where I was going with
I
that.
don't
She
know.
she loves going to the
We have to
theater.
get a cameo on here.
Yeah, and so she's usually the one that drives me to the theater.
Mhm.
Which for some movies I love it. For other movies, it's definitely like, oh, I could have watched that at home and enjoyed it just as much. But some standouts of last year of stuff I've seen in and these were in theaters movies that I saw. I saw Companion, which I thought was very good. Definitely going into it, thought it was going to be a certain type of story, and it
Mhm.
turned it and it had a twist that not that I didn't see it coming, but it was very different than my expectations, and I really liked that that story that they were trying to tell. And the other two were superhero movies, Thunderbolts and Superman. Thunderbolts more a highlight because of where the MCU has kind of been. They uh, haven't been in the greatest spot of telling stories, and I thought Thunderbolts was very refreshing.
Mhm.
And it's kind of same with Superman. The DC had been very weird, um, and I really enjoyed what that was. And Running Man, kind of the same. Kind of, I had a certain expectations from the Arnold Schwarzenegger movie back in the day. Uh, it's it's fun for Arnold reasons. I wouldn't say it's a good movie by any means, and I was very skeptical of how that was going to be updated, and I came out enjoying it more than I thought I would. Um, some lowlights, Electric State
Hmm.
did not hit for me, which was kind of sad. I was really looking forward to it because of who directed it, and I cannot remember who directed Electric State.
I'm so sorry. I'm just gonna take a moment and acknowledge that my upstairs neighbor is currently, I guess, stomping. Potentially, they are taking dumbbells and dropping them. I don't know, but it's a rhythmic banging that is shaking my like surroundings. Just wanted to just take a moment and
Okay. I don't hear that on my end, so I
okay.
don't. So that's good.
I'm
And it
pretty
gave
sure
me.
they're like a 500-pound like toddler learning how to walk. Like the sounds from my upstairs neighbor are ridiculous. I also want to acknowledge we have a chat from Kennetal who asked, "We talking movies? Have we talked about the new Knives Out? That shit rules." So true.
we
Um,
we slightly
we
talked about it. Yeah,
we mentioned it. Yeah, that
Alec
was it was great.
Uttensio has seen it, but I have not.
Yeah, so
So,
no spoilers.
um,
Becca still needs to see it.
yeah, and that's given me a chance to say that Electric State was by the Russos, who
Okay.
previously had made some really cool stuff that I had liked, and it's based off of a comic, not Marvel or DC, just um, I think comic, or there's some sort of it's based off an artist
Hmm.
um, and his works who has a really cool Simon Stalenhag, who has this. You've probably seen pictures of his art where it's like desolate landscape and you got like giant robots with weird
Ooh.
kind of stuff, and the the movie was just eh.
Mm.
Didn't really do anything cool. It didn't really do anything new, and even the robots and stuff wasn't. It didn't blow me away with how they looked. It was. I I can see the the nod to Simon's art, but it really didn't really bring his art to life. As
That's disappointing.
There's a TV show on Amazon, Tales from the Loop, and that did a much better job of bringing his art to life. Um, but yeah, I was just very underwhelmed by Electric State, and to no surprise, I was very underwhelmed by Jurassic World Rebirth. Along with my Jurassic Park reread, I just it was on one of the streaming services, so I put it on. I think of the newer movies, it's not as bad as I thought it would be, but it
Hmm.
still wasn't. I don't really
It
like.
didn't tickle where you wanted to be tickled.
No, see the problem with the new Jurassic Park stuff is that they're moving more and more away from real dinosaurs and doing like these weird genetic mutation, and they're just not as cool as
Yeah.
like the real stuff, the things that actually lived on Earth. And Jurassic World is literally they go to an island that was used for research, so all the dinosaurs and prehistoric creatures that they run into are either like hybrids or they've been changed in some way. So it's more just kind of like a weird monster movie than it is a dinosaur movie.
No, we need
Um,
dinosaurs. Everyone loves a dinosaur.
yeah, and yeah, like yeah, dinosaurs are they are freaky and weird, and like you don't need to make them any more than that. as
Yeah.
our chatter says here. So yeah, it because of that, like you could literally put any name on this movie, and it could be a standalone movie and have nothing to do with Jurassic Park. Um, but I think it was better than the Chris Pratt stuff, as far as like the story kind of made sense.
Hmm.
Like they were going to this island for a very what were essentially well, some of them had good reasons, some of them were it was money. Um, but like that that it made more coherent sense than some of the other movies. Um, and it had a family gets kind of roped into this thing that doesn't want to be there, but them trying to like that like family element that you got in the first movie, the Jurassic Park, is a little bit more in there. Um, but yeah, it's whatever. If you can watch it for free, it's probably not an entirely waste of time, but it was fine. And that's kind of I've watched a lot more movies, and I have no idea
Yeah.
what else I watched because I didn't list it.
You go crazy with those movies, for real, for real.
Yeah, yeah. I would like literally have to like go through stuff and be like, yeah, I've seen that. Yeah, I've seen that. Yeah, I've seen that. That list would be way too long. Um, yeah. I'm looking forward to the Oscars this year. I look forward to them every year just uh to as something like, okay, these are movies I should probably pay attention to, kind of thing. And so it gives me a new list of movies that I might not have been entirely interested in until people give me a reason to be interested in them.
So I just learned that
Mhm.
this is the first year that the Academy has to watch every movie that was nominated,
Oh, really?
which is like mind blowing. I'm
I knew
sorry, they
I
weren't
knew that they
watching
didn't
the
have
movies.
to, and they usually don't watch every movie.
Why? Like, if a movie got a nomination, they should have a fair chance of winning.
Yeah, it's. I think the reason that they didn't require it before was just these people of the industry are busy people, and
Well,
they don't usually watch movies in general. Uh,
then they shouldn't be judging the movies for the Oscars.
but it tends to be directors and people involved in making movies, and that's why they don't watch a whole lot, is because that's their whole life revolves around movies. Um, but yeah, I think things can be overlooked when um, they aren't watching all the movies, and you get people who spend a lot of money to get their name in the ring,
Mm.
and uh, that's they can kind of end up running depending on how like it's not always whoever spends the most money, but it can influence very much,
Or
especially
just
people.
like, hey, this is my buddy. My
Hmm.
buddy's making a movie.
Oh
I'm
yeah,
gonna.
the Oscars very much is you know a mutual masturbation of friends.
Yeah.
I feel like
I'm
all
glad that they now have to watch the movies.
all award shows tend to be, but especially the Oscars. And yeah, I take it with a grain of salt. It is for me more about oh maybe I should look into this movie
It
that
gives you
had.
like a list of movies to
Mhm.
consider.
Especially if like a movie gets panned as not being
Mhm.
very good, but then they get nominated for best costuming or
Mhm.
best sound design or something like that. You can find a new reason to watch a movie that might not be you might not think is worth your time. Um, yeah. TV is kind of the same for me. I watch way too much of it, and I don't remember a whole lot because I watch a lot of junk TV.
Yeah.
Um,
I just finished a rewatch of Better Call Saul.
oh yeah.
You know that Breaking Bad is one of my favorite
Hmm.
franchises.
Hmm.
this is probably my 5th or 6th time seeing Better Call Saul. Loved it as usual. Um, so I'll probably do an El Camino watch soon. Just kind of like just round
Yeah,
out. I recently also right before I started Better Call Saul, I did a rewatch of Breaking Bad. Just kind of round it out, you know.
yeah. I just finished The Mighty Nine, which
Hmm.
is the animated Critical Role thing. It's um not the second season. It's a different show from the first season they put out, or first two seasons. I don't remember. But it's animated very well. Some of the um, it's based off of a D&D game, so a lot of the fight choreography is I think, very well done, and it was
Hmm.
very imaginative on how they decided to depict some of that, and it's of a campaign that I didn't really watch any of. So other than like the first campaign stuff, which I was paying attention to,
Yeah.
the that series was much more of a refresher, and this one was all new stuff, and so I enjoyed it a lot. I'm also watching the new Fallout season that's
Hmm.
coming out week to week. I'm enjoying that a lot. I've heard good things about Pluribus. Have you
Oh,
heard of Pluribus?
I need to get Apple TV to see it. I haven't seen it yet.
There's a lot of good stuff on Apple TV. I really
Oh,
recommend it. I don't currently have it either, which is why I haven't watched Pluribus. But
I need to see it. Vince Gilligan fan,
yeah,
so
it's Vince Gilligan's new
Vince
show.
Gilligan, Rhea
It's
Seehorn. I mean,
Yeah, it's got
are
Rhea Seehorn in it, and
oh, I've heard
I
that it is the best first episode of a TV show
mhm.
in the history of first episodes of TV shows.
Yeah,
Uh,
I hear it does a
I've heard it's
lot of the
incredible.
things that Vince Gilligan is great about when
Hmm.
doing TV, and so I am looking forward to it this year. Anything that stood out to you TV wise?
I watched Wayward. I just finished it.
Okay, yeah, I've heard
Loved
good
it.
things about Wayward.
I
It's
loved it. It
another
was weird. It
Yeah,
was
it's another
uh,
I'll call it a Vince Gilligan like
yeah.
because it's got one of those kind of you're
It
trying to
was
figure
I
it
would
out
say
as it's going on.
it's like a Vince Gilligan meets Ari Aster meets cult true crime me. It
Mhm.
is every part of my brain
Yeah.
was lighting up.
It's got some of that lost
Yes.
um what was good about the first couple seasons of Lost
I
in there.
loved it.
Mhm.
Um, we spoke a little bit earlier about how Hereditary is about intergenerational trauma. This brought that in also, which I thought was really interesting. Like when they got to that part where they were explaining that, I was like, oh, you know, it was so cool. I think my one complaint about it was that I felt that they put a lot of emphasis on the queerness
Okay.
of the show. Um, to me, like queerness is just part of life.
Mhm.
Um, I I almost feel that we don't need to be reminded that there are queer people in the world, and we should just let queer people just do it. Have queer
Yeah,
pop,
like we should have like queer people existing as themselves and
right?
not their point to be we need a gay best friend.
Right. And even though, like, so it is, I believe Mae Martin wrote it, or at
Mhm.
least was the creator, and they also starred in it, and as a non-binary person themselves, um, they put in this emphasis that
Mhm.
their character was like constantly being reminded that they're queer.
Yeah.
And I was kind of like, okay, friend, I get it. You know? Like, it's not weird to me, and I guess that it comes a lot of my, like, personal belief system and, like, our friend group. Our friend group is very queer,
Yeah.
I mean, I went back to my hometown a few weeks ago, and I said to somebody that I was like, "Well, everybody I know is some flavor of gay," and they were just like, "How does that happen?" And I was like, "I don't know. I mean, just what my life is."
Yeah.
And so I think that maybe if I didn't live in the bubble that I live in,
Hmm.
if I didn't have queer friends and queer family members and spend all of my time with queer folk, maybe it would have been more like wouldn't have bothered me as much
Hmm.
because it would be novel,
Yeah.
but to me it just wasn't. But I loved Wayward. Once you get past that after like episode 3 and it kind of like dies down on that, you're just like, this is great. I love this.
Yeah.
It's weird.
That's awesome. And that's on Netflix
It's on
currently?
Netflix. Yep. It
Okay.
has Toni Collette, um,
Oh, yeah. I do love Tony Collette.
an Ari Aster alum, if you will.
Hmm. Hmm. Probably why it caught your attention.
I'm not sure. I think it caught my attention. Well, the poster has Toni
Oh,
Collette. It
yeah.
has her, and so I'm like, okay. But her look, she's
Hmm.
very much
Yeah.
a Manson girl.
Yeah. She's very much inhabiting a character on that
Yeah,
poster.
and I was like, ooh, I like that.
It was pushing the right buttons for you.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, I watch so much TV. I wish I had more to say about TV I watched this year, but just it comes and goes. I tried to watch more
Mhm,
anime this
mhm,
last year. Like I had a Crunchyroll subscription that I just now canceled
mhm.
because I wasn't watching it enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think the big thing with that is there's way too much isekai out there, and isekai has some
We already perfected isekai,
yeah.
with Yu Yu Hakusho.
Well, my big problem with a lot of isekai is that it's very easy for um it to be, like cut a lot of corners in the storytelling just by we're gonna we need to explain this thing directly to this guy because just like you, it's your first time
Mhm.
experiencing it, and so like a lot of that stuff gets old really fast. Like we can be more creative than this, people.
Yeah,
You
I mean, when it comes to anime, I like to watch a lot of shonen.
know. Hmm.
I'm here for the fights. I'm here. I want to see, a couple of guys just being dudes.
You
Someone
want
recently
3
told me
episodes of Goku powering
I
up.
w- I want 3 episodes of Goku powering up, and then I want him to die. um, someone recently told me that Vegeta was 33 the first time that he reached Super Saiyan, and I don't know. Like I want to see 33-year-old Vegeta hit Super Saiyan. I want to see 35-year-old Vegeta hit Super Saiyan 2. you know, I want to see just constant power ups. At the beginning of Dragon Ball Z, Goku's power level was 9,000, and by the end of like the Cell arc, 9,000 was like nothing. That was a
Mhm.
baby. And I love that. I just love the constant powering up. I love just people punching each other in the face. Give me like Naruto, where it's just like 14-year-olds beating the crap out of each other. Love it.
It makes a lot of sense why the uh, the tournament in Yu Yu Hakusho is
Oh,
your favorite arc.
I love Yu Yu Hakusho. That's the show that got me into anime. So
Yeah.
special place in my heart.
Um, yeah, I guess that wraps
What a
it up.
year!
Yeah, what a year. Um, I think maybe we can leave video games for our
Another
next our next grab bag episode kind of thing.
yeah.
Since we could spend another 2 hours just talking about video games. Um, let's talk about like looking forward to 2026. I almost said 2016. That's crazy.
Can we go
2026.
back?
I think noteworthy. Public Domain Day was just the other day.
Yes, and a
I
very
guess
special
technically it
lady.
takes place on the first. And notable, I think what you're referring to is the Maltese Falcon, the book by Dashiell
No,
Hammond. One of the
no.
big originals is in the public domain now. Not the movie, the Maltese Falcon, but the book.
Right.
Some
I'm
other
gonna still
highlight.
go ahead and talk about what I was thinking.
Okay. The other highlight is
The other highlight: the first 4 Nancy Drews are now in the public domain.
yeah, that's exciting. I,
So it is notable that this is only the 16-year-old Nancy.
mm-hmm.
Um, it's very specific. Nancy Drew has to be 16 if in the public domain. Ned Nickerson, Bess, and George are not
Not part of
characters
this.
yet, so they're not part of the public domain.
Mm-hmm.
In it, Nancy drives a blue roadster. Like, you have to get her car right. Like, it's very
Yeah.
specific, but I'm excited. This has been huge for the Nancy Drew community.
Mm-hmm.
This means that Nancy Drew video games can be made by anyone. And if you know
Yeah.
anything about the Nancy Drew video game drama, that's huge.
Yeah. I'm really looking forward to what people can like take and use Nancy Drew as, and
Yeah.
to create their own mystery stories with Nancy. I know we had in the last couple years like Popeye and Winnie the Pooh and
Mhm.
Steamboat Willie become public domain characters, and we get weird stuff coming off of that. And so I'm looking forward to weird stuff, but hopefully some good stuff with Nancy Drew.
It's also a little scary
Mm-hmm.
as a Nancy Drew fan, and like, I've loved Nancy my entire life.
Yeah.
She was a huge influence on me, like, growing up, and it's a little scary, you
Mm-hmm.
know? Like, oh, here's this very wholesome 16-year-old who, like, as a child that I really looked up to, and now the world can put her in their stories, and
Yeah.
we have weird things that 100 years ago we didn't have, like AI and the podcast format, and you know, so it's a little scary. It's a little
Yeah.
scary, but I'm anxious to see
It
what people do with
it's
Nancy.
definitely one of those things that I think you take the good stuff and incorporate that, and you push all the subpar things out of your
Mhm.
mind forever. And like with some of the other things that have come out with other public domain stuff, I feel like it's very easy to like, okay, that's a weird thing that we're
That's a weirdo.
never going to talk about ever
Yeah.
again. But yeah, we're starting to get into a place where recognizable characters are entering the public domain.
Mhm.
So I think people are still figuring out how we can actually use those to tell our own stories and contribute to those characters' legacies rather than it being um, a freak factor or
A
a
freak factor.
I'm trying to think of a good word. Just like we're just using this character as a way to like shock value. That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, yeah. Some other characters that are in the public domain. Betty Boop, big one.
Yeah.
And
That's crazy.
I think most of the Betty Boop stuff is going to be included in that because they really haven't, unlike some of these other things, they haven't really kept up. She hasn't really been in the zeitgeist and
Mhm.
stuff like that. So, one thing that I didn't know existed was Rover. Disney's Rover.
Hmm.
Are you
I've
aware
never.
of that?
Yeah, you put.
Pluto
No.
was originally Rover in the first couple Mickey Mouse things, and that
Huh.
character, not Pluto the dog, but Rover the dog from Disney, is now in the public domain. So it's from what I saw, they moved to Pluto very quickly, so there
So
isn't.
soon Pluto will be.
Yeah. There are some more Mickey Mouse cartoons that have entered the public domain. And with Disney stuff, it's very specific on what cartoons.
Hmm.
Before it was just the Steamboat Willie, and so some more stuff in that genre, in that vein, have been included. Um, some things that really interest me as far as are some films that entered. All Quiet on the Western Front, directed by Louis Milestone. Um, one of these great classic of a movie. Animal Crackers by the Marx Brothers. Another, maybe not the most well-known Marx Brothers, but kind of one of those things that people might be able to riff on
Hmm.
now. It's definitely of its time, but very influential. And an Alfred Hitchcock movie, Murder, with an explanation point. One I don't think I've seen, so I might have to watch it and see how that might
Well,
affect
now you can
stuff.
probably just watch it on YouTube for
I
free.
know. I know all of the films entered are on the Internet Archive.
Okay.
Um, there was a Greta Gerwig's first talkie. Uh, what is it called? It's on here somewhere on the link. No, I don't know it. But Greta Gerwig's first. Oh, I was looking at the wrong thing. It's called Anna Christie. Greta Garbo. I said Gerwig, didn't I? Greta
You
Garbo.
did say Gerwig, and I was very confused.
Greta Garbo's first talkie. Anna Christie entered public domain, as well as John Wayne's first leading role movie, The Big Trail. So, in the future, we should be getting some more John Wayne and Greta Garbo stuff. And it's kind of the same. Like these are movies from the 1930s, so it's really when people first started making, talking pictures and stuff like that.
A
So
talking picture show.
yeah, I think we're really starting to get into a time with the public domain where of stuff we're actually going to recognize
Yeah.
instead of like weird, antiquated films and characters and stuff like that. Yeah. There was some music, but Georgia on My Mind was really the only one that stood out to me, as it's the composition that is now. So you can cover and sample the music of Georgia on My Mind as much as your heart's content now. That's really the only one that stood out to me in the composition. There are some recordings, which is a different public domain thing. And most of those are also antiquated. But Nobody Knows the Trouble I've Seen by Marian Anderson. Old like slave hymn originally that was then recorded. And you hear that song pop up in weird Disney stuff from time to time. I'm thinking of The Lion King is where I first heard it.
Oh.
Yeah, I think it's Zazu sings it a bit in The Lion King, or maybe it's only it comes up somewhere in that, but that's what popped up into my mind when that. So yeah, cool public domain stuff.
Yeah. So we want to talk about our January
Yeah,
agenda.
let's talk about our January agenda.
So
Um,
I picked the book,
yeah,
so I can talk about the book. This
you
month
technically picked both.
I did technically pick both.
Both. We
That's so
discussed.
true.
I concurred. I think they'd both be very interesting, and I'm interested in both. But it was your inspiration for both.
So
So if we
we're
don't like
reading.
it, it's your fault.
It's my fault. Which I think we're already both kind of at that point with the book.
Surprisingly, yeah, I just started the book
You're
2
like
days
barely
ago.
into it, yeah, and
Yeah.
you're already like, it's a snooze fest.
Yeah, it's one of those things where okay, it is the Mothman Prophecies by John Keel,
Mhm.
and I was excited about getting into this because
You were excited.
I don't read a whole lot of cryptid stuff.
Mhm.
I like the idea of cryptids,
Mhm.
and I was kind of excited to like, oh, let's dig deep into the Mothman. Um,
And I love the Mothman. Just
it's a
as like a concept, as an
yeah,
icon. I love the
it's close
Mothman.
to Ohio,
Mhm.
on a little border town of Ohio and uh, West Virginia,
When I first
where
moved up here, this was like the first time I heard of the
mhm.
Mothman. I'm from the South. Mothman's not
Yeah,
an
I'm really
idea in
surprised
the
you don't
South.
have cryptids down in
Oh,
Florida.
it's all real.
Oh, okay.
I'm from Florida.
Yeah.
There actually is a guy trying to eat your face in Florida.
Oh, okay, okay. Yeah.
And
That's fair.
we
You
don't
don't
need
need a cryptid
cryptids.
if you have real life terrors. Um,
So when I'm moving up here and being introduced to the Mothman, I just kind of like fell in love with
mhm.
like he's just like this weird guy with little beady red eyes, and
Yeah,
he
part
has his
moth,
big
part
wings.
man, you
Part
know.
moth, moth man. He's 7 feet tall. Love.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah, and like
he has some history with bridges, and I love a good bridge.
yeah, like
Yeah.
the story is that like he was an omen of bad things to come for this and
Hmm.
this town, and uh, I was really wanting to get, and so the book is written by John Keel, who was sorry,
Was.
uh, was an investigative reporter who spent a lot of time investigating UFO sightings in the '60s, and it's him looking into the Mothman and all this UFO stuff that kind of happened around it. And
He kind of makes himself into like a bit of a celebrity in the book.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
weird, like he'll be like, "Oh, some lady showed up at someone's house and said, "Oh, I'm a friend of John Keel." Like, and they knew exactly who I was. Blah, blah, and I'm like, "Okay, buddy.
yeah.
Sure. Sure, Dan." Um But yeah, I'm a little bit further along in the book than you are. I'm having trouble. This was recommended to me by a coworker who I have a sweatshirt with the Mothman on it, and I wore it to work one day, and he was like, "Wow, you love the Mothman. You have to read this book." Uh, we were talking about Mothman, and he lent me his copy of the book, and I have been struggling to finish it, so I can give it back to him. And I'm trying. I'm like, I gotta finish it so that he and I can talk about it with
Mhm,
each other.
mhm.
But
Yeah.
yeah, he was like, "It's an easy read," and I am struggling.
It is easy in the sense that it's written for everyday people to read.
Yes,
Well, everyday people in the '70s to read.
because
Is
it's
what
because he was a reporter, so
Mhm.
he is reporting the facts. He says in it like, "This person said
Yeah.
this."
Well, what he believes to be
Well,
the facts.
right.
I
Well,
think
it's
he's
more of like
using facts very loosely
it
because it's
is
a lot
very
of
loose, but
I
he's at least
heard from this
reporting.
person who heard from this person who heard
Right.
from this other person.
But I mean, it's factual that he heard those things.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Uh,
So it's written as a reporter would
mhm.
write it. If you are looking for a story, this ain't it.
Yeah, yeah. it's very disconnected from chapter to chapter. From
Mhm.
the chapters are separated into parts, and those parts can
Mhm.
be disconnected here and there.
And then he, like,
Um,
brings up, like, a character, not even a character, a person that he talked about, like, 3 chapters before, like chapter 4, part 2, and then that person comes up again in, like, chapter 7, part 3, and
I
I'm
feel
like,
like
there's so many people.
yeah, this book would probably be the best if you really like annotating in books and really
Yes.
like you're taking notes, you're making your own observations, and as things progress, you can go back through your notes and see where things connect. And that is not the type of reader I am. I, in reading this, I might try some of those techniques and see uh, if I like engaging in reading in that way. Um, but I don't, it's out of my wheelhouse, and as a book out of my wheelhouse, it's in a spot where I I'm trying to read this as, you know, he's a reporter, but I don't believe him. Is the biggest
Yes.
thing that is my roadblock right now as I'm reading through this and I'm like, I don't I don't see the conclusions you're leaping to,
I
and I
want him to be
don't.
more skeptical.
Yeah, and he is skeptical in some parts. He has a skepticalness to him, or maybe he's playing devil's advocate and that sort of thing. But at the same time, he'll bring up sources, and you're just like, that just sounds like some guy. Like I
Yeah,
don't know why you're believing
yeah.
him. um,
Which I'm gonna make a parallel. We
yeah,
see this today, um,
we do.
with this Nick Shirley video
Uh huh.
about the daycare centers in Minnesota. He just has some guy with him. It's just, have you seen this video?
I have not. I know of what you talk about, but I haven't really, because it's a guy who
One, he's
mostly
just a
known for
guy.
making online content
Right.
who found this thing. I am more waiting on other people to really dig into it
Yeah, which
and see
you and
where
I
it's
could
at.
talk about
I'm like,
this
yeah,
offline.
it's a thing. It's a on the surface, it's very believable. I can believe
Right.
that this can happen. A
Yes.
fraud, especially involving the government. That's not a
Yes.
big deal to me. But some of the other things and like how he's getting his information, it does.
It's just some guy. He gets it
Yes.
from some guy
Um,
who he's like, I work across the street and I just don't see children.
yeah. So yeah, my skeptical hats on is like I will believe him as far as like, well, let's get some legitimate investigators in here and looking at these
Yes.
things, and let's get some legitimate audits going, and we'll see if
And you know
stuff's.
what? Maybe in 1967, John Keel was a big name in
Yeah.
investigative journalism. Maybe we're missing that context.
Hmm. Yeah,
Um,
that is the other thing. This book is old and it is
mhm.
dated in a lot of ways. Um, he does talk about sometimes like having to rummage through old archival papers and journals, and his information's only as good as what other people have reported on, and I get that. Um, but I think it's more in the way he's presenting himself in the story so far, that is making it difficult for me. I want to question everything he says, and like then he just moves on.
He just moves
Um,
on.
yeah, and so you're like,
Um,
oh wait, I need to know more about this thing that you were just talking about. So maybe he'll circle back around as to some things, and maybe I'll get some of my questions answered as I finish the book. Um, and maybe I'll come out a Mothman believer. I hope the Mothman exists.
I
Me,
hope the Mothman exists.
yeah,
I want to believe.
yeah, yeah. As an X Files fan, I want to believe.
As someone who's never seen the X-Files, I want to believe.
But I'm more of a Scully than a Mulder. I think
I'm right over my head.
Mulder is he already believes, and he's just trying to find evidence.
He's the John Keel.
Yeah, Scully is she's got a medical degree and some science background, so she's the skeptic that's coming in and picks apart the crazy doings. And sometimes some things are,
a little
maybe it's
unexplainable.
just maybe it's supernatural. She doesn't know the answers, but yeah, she's got that skeptical mind. So yeah, we'll keep talking about that. Our big review for the book, I know we talked a bit about it today, but our big is going to be the week of the 30th. I don't know when exactly the live stream will come out, but the episode will be out by on the 30th sometime by the end of the month. So we can have our big talk, and we can spoil it, and we can deep dive into all the things. And by then I might know more about the Mothman than Mr. Keel.
We'll have to visit the Mothman.
I will say that the thing
one
that
day.
Reading this I do want to then go, oh, he talked about this thing. What is that? And I want to go research it. I want to go figure out what he's talking about, because he sometimes will just bring up a somebody in this place saw a thing. Moving on. And you're like, I would like to know more about that sighting, or I would like to more, or like, yeah.
He does bring back some of the people that he talks about in the early chapters. They do make reappearances.
Cool. That's
exciting. It's a lot of people, and it's a lot of people for me to keep track of.
It's yeah. So we shall read more and find out. You suggested the movie, and as soon as you suggested it, I was like, I would love to rewatch that movie. What do we watch?
We're gonna see X, directed by Ty West.
Yeah, this came out in 2022. It's
what a year
of the horror genre.
On par with my things I enjoy.
Yeah, it's starring Mia Goth and Jenna Ortega is in it as well. I told Uttensio this was one of the first things I saw Jenna in, where I recognized her as, oh, that's Jenna Ortega. And Mia Goth has just exploded since this movie came out.
I'll be honest, I thought Mia Goth was a sim. I didn't know she was a real person.
Yeah, real person, real actress. She's got talent, and she seems to like working with Ty West. So we're this is the first in a trilogy of movies.
Yep.
I guess trilogy as we know so far. I haven't seen the latest. X being the first, then Pearl, and then Maxine, which came out last year.
I think
Did
so.
it come? It came out in 25 or 24. So
I wanted to see Pearl, and then a friend of mine recommended to see X first.
Oh, okay. And did anything draw you to Pearl specifically?
I think I saw a Live, Laugh, Love sign that had Danny from Midsummer for laugh, Pearl for love, or for laugh. Oh no, I'm sorry. Danny for live, Pearl for laugh, and I guess it would have been Toni Collette's character for love. And I thought that was very funny. And I was like, I guess I got to see Pearl now. If you're gonna put two movies I really enjoyed and a character from another movie, I'm gonna want to see that other movie.
Okay, yeah, and I have seen this movie once before. I didn't watch it in theaters, but I saw it um, shortly after it came to streaming, and I enjoyed it. It definitely in the genre of horror movies that is I don't want to say is creative because most horror movies are very creative, but it subverts a lot of tropes and
Hmm.
it it's doing something different than than you see uh, in other stuff in it. So it I enjoyed it quite a bit when I first watched it, so I'm looking forward to revisiting it. And we should have our full review of that the week of the 13th.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, yeah, next week. So I think right now we're planning on doing live stream 7 o'clock on the 13th is the current plan for that.
To talk
Um,
about X.
yeah, we'll talk. We'll do a deep dive into X. We'll talk about it. We'll um, have cool things to say.
Hopefully,
Yeah.
we'll see.
Is it? I know we brought it up a little bit at the beginning of the show,
Hmm.
but looking forward into 26, you said stepping out of your comfort zone was something you were kind of, besides simply watching movies, but did you have other things in mind for the coming year that you wanted to explore, maybe more like broadly, like genre wise, or
Yeah, I think I do want to maybe get into some fantasy.
okay?
Um, it's something that I've always wanted to like.
Hmm.
You like fantasy, my partner likes fantasy, and my brother who loved it growing up, and it just has never like really hit me in the way that it has hit so many
Never
other people.
never clicked with it.
Yeah,
Okay.
and I want to experience that. I want to watch Lord of the Rings and actually enjoy it and like be like, "Oh, these are cool characters and this is a cool story." It's a lot of walking. It's a lot but cool characters and a cool story, and I want to experience that, you
Okay.
know?
I don't think we should start with Lord of the Rings as far as
Ugh.
books go. Um,
Oh man, I'm not reading Lord of the Rings.
uh, as brilliant as I think Tolkien was, the books are heavy.
Yeah, I've heard it's
In
a lot of describing trees.
yeah, not in a sad heavy, but like it,
Just
it's
words.
dense. Yeah, dense is a better word, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, where and you can spend an entire chapter describing a forest. It is beautiful, and I think his the way he brings his own personality and his own view into the books is good, but probably not a great place to start for
Yeah.
a fantasy reader. The Hobbit, maybe. The Hobbit's a bit more digestible. Um, it's meant for a different audience. He wrote The Hobbit for his children, as a
Oh.
and and then when developing the Lord of the Rings, he kind of went back and retconned a few things to make it fit into his Lord of the Rings universe. So it's easy. It's much easier to read, but um, maybe maybe we'll do the Hobbit. Maybe
Yeah. Maybe that'll be our next book.
maybe we'll have to talk about it
We'll
and
talk about it.
peruse things over. I have some ideas for where we could start with some fantasy. And maybe some movies to match. I don't think our movies will always have some sort of a theme. I know when you first suggested it, I was thinking the Mothman Prophecies would be much more horror
Hmm.
focused because of the movie of the same name that's based off of it. It is a horror esque movie. Maybe thriller is a better word for the movie.
Yeah.
Um, And so I was thinking, scary January might be fun, but the book's not really scary.
It's not
So,
scary. At least not yet.
yeah, at least not yet. So we'll see how we might relate things going forward, and how the format might develop as we develop this. But yeah, I'm excited to look for new things. Um I'm looking forward to reading maybe some more um pure mysteries.
Hmm.
Last year I think I only read 3, and 2 of them were Stephen King books. I think. Um
I have
I
a whole
mean, one
collection of Nancy Drew if you want to
yeah,
borrow.
one was the Mr. Mercedes, which is Stephen King,
Hmm.
and not really supernatural. He gets into and oh yep, the other one was the Outsider, which I put in as mystery, which has a little bit more supernatural stuff in it. Um, uh, yeah, so we'll see. We'll see what happens. I guess that's it for this first episode. Unless you have anything else to add.
I don't.
Cool. We'll see everybody next week,
Yeah, thanks.
and see y'all later. And happy reviewing. I don't know how we're ending this yet.
A little ditty. Let's review. It's what we
Uh,
do with Beccah and Uttensio.
yeah. Oh, I guess you can find us on the social medias. Um,
This is
I'm
our
at
social medias.
we have them listed on the screen here. But if you're an audio listener, where I'm at Beccah Smiles, Beccah Smiles, and you're at Uttensio,
Yep.
Uttensio. Um, at this moment, we don't have a YouTube landing page. That
Not yet.
is coming. Um,
Do you know you need 24 hours
yeah, I
after
evidently
making an
need 24
account?
hours, and I procrastinated way too long. I knew about this podcast much more than 24 hours ago, but I thought it would be easier.
Mhm.
um, yeah, and then I'm planning on getting maybe a Substack going, so we can keep conversations moving. There's a pretty good Substack. Substack has a pretty good spot for discussion and stuff for both. And you don't necessarily need to subscribe to anything for that to have those conversations. So thinking about that, maybe a Discord server or something. I don't know yet. But we very much are looking forward to input from the audience and
Yeah.
how everybody's feeling about that, what they are watching and liking, not liking, and why. Um, Watching and reading.
We need recommendations.
Yeah. So I think that'll do it.
Cool. Well, thank you, everyone. Thank you, Beccah.
Mhm. Thank you, Uttensio.
And we will see you later.
All right.